everyone. I'm Rochelle Chernowski. This is Shell Point Today for Wednesday, April 24th. On today's show, FineMark Bank tells us the benefits of safety deposit boxes. Phyllis tells us about one of her favorite artists, Vincent van Gogh. And we'll also talk to lifelong stamp collector Paul Peterson, who took us through his collection of more than 1 million stamps. But first, we have this note from the Springs, who celebrated their 1-year anniversary last week. Rita Southern and her team are always hard at work in the community, spreading the good news of our newest assisted living facility. You can read all about it on pages 26 and 27 of your Shell Point Life magazine. Now, do you know someone who might benefit from the caring assisted living offered by the Springs? Well, here's the perfect opportunity to learn more about it. They are offering a free tea and tour at the Springs to show people firsthand about all the services offered there. It happens tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Springs. To sign up or to learn more, call our assisted living hotline at 454-2077. They can also tell you about all their events and tours planned throughout the summer. Once again, if you have any questions about assisted living, give them a call at 454-2077. One other tour you might want to take soon is the Model Train Room. This fanciful 40-foot train display has enjoyed a very successful season with many visitors. But the trains will soon be pulling into the station and taking a hiatus for the summer. Summertime is when the resident volunteers work on the layout, adding certain features and improving others. But you still have 1 more week to see it before they close. Visit the train room located in the Island Tunnel. They are open to the public today from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. And remember, the train room closes starting May 1st. That's next week. Phyllis has done many segments for us here on Shell Point TV, from movie reviews to discussions on animals, and famous composers too, and even people who are left-handed. She's now bringing us her final segment, and it's about a visual artist. Vincent van Gogh may not have achieved wealth and success during his lifetime, but his paintings are some of the most expensive works of art in existence, selling for more than $100 million a piece. Phyllis has the story on the highs and lows of Vincent van Gogh.
Hello, I'm Phyllis Stern, and today we are offering a brief biography of Vincent van Gogh, who has become an icon in the world of painting. In his 37 years, he produced more than 2,000 paintings, including self-portraits, landscapes, wheat fields, and sunflowers. Vincent van Gogh began to draw as a child, growing up in the Netherlands, but he did not begin painting until his late 20s. The works of his early Dutch period are somber, sharply painted, of which the most famous is The Potato Eaters. While many of his paintings were somber, most of them are essentially optimistic. One of his greatest paintings is Starry Night over the Rhine. One cannot help but be moved when observing it. Van Gogh also created many self-portraits during his lifetime. His work is known for its rough beauty. Although he is best known for his landscapes, he seemed to find painting portraits his greatest ambition. He described painting portraits as, quote, "the only thing that excites me to the depths of my soul and which makes me feel the infinite more than anything else," unquote. Van Gogh worked at a feverish pace. At one point, the artist Paul Gauguin and Vincent van Gogh painted together. They consented to live side by side in Arles, as Van Gogh started work on the decoration of the Yellow House, probably the most ambitious he ever undertook. Van Gogh greatly admired Gauguin and desperately wanted to be treated as an equal. But Gauguin was arrogant and domineering, and they quarreled fiercely about art. And Van Gogh felt an increasing fear that he was going to desert him. Their relationship deteriorated, and at one point, he even confronted Gauguin with a razor blade. And later, he cut off a portion of his own left ear, giving it to a prostitute. Van Gogh alternated between madness and lucidity, and the extent to which his mental illness affected his paintings has been a subject of great speculation. He spent a lot of time in hospitals and even made several paintings of hospital interiors. In fact, it was in the hospital that he painted his famous Starry Night. In 1890, Van Gogh suffered a new crisis, the saddest episode in an already sad life. He had fits of despair and hallucinations, during which he could not work. Van Gogh ended up shooting himself, but the bullet was deflected by a rib bone, and Van Gogh survived the impact. Gauguin rushed to the hospital to be with Van Gogh, but eventually he succumbed to the gunshot and died at age 37. Tragically, Van Gogh died not knowing the acclaim his art would receive. But by the mid-20th century, his fame had grown among art critics, dealers, and collectors. Today, he and Pablo Picasso are responsible for the world's most expensive paintings. His legacy is immortal, and he will forever be known as one of the greatest artists of the modern era. I'm Phyllis Stern. See you around.
Next week, there's an event you should mark on your calendar, and this one has to do with your taxes. April 15th has come and gone, and we don't have to think about our taxes for another year, right? Well, actually, now is the perfect time to go through your financial documents and dispose of ones you no longer need. If you look at page 19 of your Shell Point Life magazine, you'll see some tips on how long to keep sensitive documents and when to dispose of them. But don't just throw them in the trash, because dumpster divers could easily go through them and steal your financial information. The best way to dispose of old documents is by shredding them, and FineMark Bank is here to help. They're hosting a confidential shredding event on Tuesday, April 30th, taking care of safely and securely disposing of your old documents or bank statements. You don't even need to get out of your car. Just bring all of your documents to the Village Church driveway next Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 a.m., and personnel will be on hand to make sure they are shredded and disposed of properly. Okay, so that's how to get rid of personal items. What if you have personal items you really want to protect? Well, FineMark Bank has the answer for that as well. They have safe deposit boxes here at their Island office, as well as in their Fort Myers office on College Parkway. So what exactly should or should not be placed in a safe deposit box? Let's find out from Tiffany Williams.
A safe deposit box can be a good way to secure important personal documents, collectibles, and family heirlooms. But not everything needs to go in one. I'm Tiffany Williams, Managing Executive at FineMark National Bank and Trust on the island. In today's FineMark Minute, we'll discuss what should and should not go in your safe deposit box. Some of the more important items that make sense for a safe deposit box include birth and marriage certificates, trusts, insurance policies, property deeds, rare coins, jewelry, irreplaceable family photos, and stock or bond certificates. A good question to ask yourself is, if these documents were lost, would you be in trouble? If the answer is yes, you should probably add them. Now, for what you may want to avoid putting in a safe deposit box. In most cases, it's probably not a good idea to store cash there. The cash is not insured by the federal government or the FDIC. You may also want to avoid putting things in your safe deposit box that you may need to retrieve in an emergency. For this reason, it may also be a good idea to rent the box jointly with a spouse or a child. That way, if anything happens to you, they will have access to its contents. If you have specific questions about your safe deposit box, you can stop by the bank on the island or give me a call, 461-5999. I'm Tiffany Williams with today's FineMark Minute.
So treasured family heirlooms are definitely worthy of keeping locked away. But we now have a story about a resident who is giving away his treasured family heirlooms, more than 500,000 of them, in fact. Paul Peterson of Rosemont started a stamp collection inherited from his dad, and eventually it grew to include more than 1 million stamps in albums, boxes, tubs, and loose piles. These stamps came from all eras in history and almost every country on Earth. But Paul recently made the decision to donate half of his collection to Shell Point Stamp Ministry to further their mission. Before he packed away his 1 million stamps for good, we asked Paul to give us a tour of his favorites.
My father started before I ever knew it. He worked for the post office in Chicago. And they have a dead letter office, and those who wanted to could go down there after a certain period of time when the letter was undeliverable and take what envelopes they wanted and take the stamps, soak the stamps off the envelopes and use them in their stamp collection. And he was one of them. He started in 1932 with a stamp that was issued for the Olympics in Los Angeles. And every issue that came out, he got the ticket, he got the cover with my address on it, 8234 Champlain, Chicago, Illinois. So I collected first day covers from 1932 to year 2000. So first day cover of every stamp the United States issued in that spread. My mother didn't like stamps because the way I soaked the stamps off the envelopes was I was going to take a bath every Saturday night. I'd throw the stamps in the bathtub, and then when they'd peel off, I'd put them on the tile to dry. So and they left a little mark each time. So she really didn't like that. Just the thought of collecting them and enjoying them. And I learned more of history and geography and places to go and places to see from stamps than I learned from all the classes that I ever took on history and geography. Presidents, this kind of thing, and it's a delightful way to learn about them from stamps and the birds, the state birds each state has a state bird. There's a first day cover that was on the Hindenburg. They're U.S. stamps, but it was on the first flight of the Hindenburg from Los Angeles to New York. And of course the Hindenburg crashed a few years later. So connections like that. Oh, and this is an interesting card. This is the first postcard ever sent. Please exchange the stockings returned for a size larger. Yours truly, some woman. So she was returning a pair of stockings. I don't know whether this was in the things or she returned a pair of stockings. It was rather interesting to find that postcard. Adolf Hitler. I was very much interested in that era of time, and I got eventually from collecting mostly U.S. stamps, but also German stamps, which showed the rise of Hitler in the stamps they issued. Hitler had a lot of stamps printed with his pictures on it. So this was on his birthday in 1937. They issued that sheet. Then I was also got interested in classical music, and most of the great classical musicians, Bach, Beethoven, Schubert, Brahms, were of German or Austrian background. So that I got the two sides to why I'd be interested in not just the stamp, but the person that was on the stamp. Yeah, well, I kept them part of the closet when we were in Chicago, and then I even expanded into the garage when we moved out east with all the books and albums that I had. So, under the bed, everywhere. Yeah. In the house right now, there are over 1 million stamps. The earliest stamp is from when the first stamp came out in the U.S. One was of Franklin and one was of Washington. And I have a mint copy, which means it was uncanceled copy of the one and a canceled copy of the other. This is the Columbian Exposition issue in 1893 from 1 cent to $5. And depending on the centering of this stamp, it can run anywhere in value from $1,000 to $5,000, this stamp alone. The other issue that I have is the Trans-Mississippi issue in 1898. And this set will probably be $3,000 or $4,000, this set. And that is one of the most famous stamps, the cattle in the west, in the storm in the west. The engraving and the color is much sought after stamp. I go all the way from A to Z in the countries. I have a set, quite a number of sets of things dealing with the British Empire. This is an album that contains British Empire stamps that commemorated the end of World War II. And issued for each part of each country in the British Empire, issued about the same design stamp, and that's what this entire book is filled with, stamps for the victory, so-called Victory and Peace issue. I've got 3 or 4 German albums. Here's Israel, and as you'll notice, below the stamp there are perforations, and there's something below it, which describes in Hebrew what the stamp is signifying. There's an island in the Pacific called Tonga, and they issued a set of stamps with gold in the stamp. I've donated 480,000 stamps to Shell Point Stamp Missions Project in the past, and I'm going to donate another 530,000. I think the right thing to do is to save a little bit of a collection. My Swedish album, because I'm Swedish background, I will keep, and part of my U.S. collection, but the rest I'm going to sell and get rid of so I can get the maximum amount of money that I can from the collection. I'm not a gambler, so I just never get tempted to spend my money in Las Vegas. Stamps have kept their value. If there's something you collect, at least you get your money back. If you just use them on envelopes or for postage now, you get your money back from it. And I got a great joy from collecting.
Paul told us he's happy to offer advice to anyone who has a stamp collection. And of course, if you're interested in stamps, you're always welcome at the Stamp Room, which is open in the Island Tunnel every Tuesday and Friday morning starting at 8:15 a.m. Now, as for today's events, let's find out what's in store from Resort Services. Then, after your menu selections, Randy Woods will take us back to last month's visit from the Purdue University Glee Club in today's Village Church Connections. But first, here's happenings.
Welcome to the Wednesday, April 24th segment of the Shell Point's Happening segment. I'm Bev Chanley. This is Suzanne Savada. We're going to go over the activities that we offer here at Shell Point for you today. 7:45, we start out with the men's Bible study. They'll be in the Osprey Room on the island. Then we move to 8 o'clock, where we have a trip leaving for the Lakes Park Botanic Garden Tour. 8 o'clock is the time for the Island Court pickups to begin, 8:10 for the Woodlands pickups, and 8:20 will be out at Eagles Preserve picking you up for that trip. Sign-up is required. At 9 o'clock, Jurassic Travel will be in the Egret Room. Also at 9 o'clock, we have the men's match play tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. And then we have another 9 o'clock activity. It's the watercolor group with Phil Hilton down in the art studio in the tunnel. At 10 o'clock, it's the ladies' Bible study gathering in the Osprey Room. And then 10:15, the Model Yacht Sailing Club will be at the Woodland Commons Lake. At 11:30, it's time for the Health Connections Agility and Flexibility class. This is full. It will be in the Health Club. That's our activities for the morning, and Suzanne will tell you what's in the lineup for this afternoon.
At 1 o'clock, chess will be played in the Library Lounge on the island. And from 1:30 to 3:30, the Model Train Room will be open and available in the tunnel. At 1:45, we have a Health Connections, Balance and Mobility Training Level 1 in the Health Club on the island, and this is closed. At 2 o'clock, pickleball will be played out at the pickleball court on the island. And at 2:30, Jazz and Stuff will be playing up in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands. 3 o'clock, there will be a Bible study in the community room of King's Crown. Also at 3 o'clock, we have a Health Connections, a Pilates stretch in the Health Club on the island. And we have the Memory Care Group meeting on the 3rd floor craft room of King's Crown. Sign up is required. At 4:30, indoor bocce will take place on the Health Club on the island. And at 5:45, there'll be church choir rehearsal in the choir room of the village church. The day will end at 7:15 with prayer and praise meeting in the village church on the island. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here for Thursday's happenings.
Menus for Wednesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is a grilled pork chop with a cheese pierogi and braised kale. The dinner special is the pasta buffet for $11.95, and the soup is Duchess. In the Island Cafe for lunch today, enjoy a vegetable wrap with chips and fruit for $6.95. The dinner special is grilled shrimp for $7.95. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill on Wednesday are snapper papillote for $15.95 or stuffed pork loin for $14.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
I'm Randy Woods, and just recently we had the privilege of hosting the Purdue Varsity Glee Club, and they sang a very inspirational toe-tapping arrangement of Joshua Fit the Battle of Jericho. The Battle of Jericho illustrates one of the most astounding miracles in the Bible. After the death of Moses, God chose Joshua to be the leader of the Israelite people. They set about to conquer the land of Canaan under the Lord's guidance. God said to Joshua, "Do not be terrified, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Well, God had a strange plan for the Battle of Jericho. He told Joshua to have the armed men march around the city each day. Once a day they would march around the city. For 6 days they did this. The priests were to carry the ark, blowing trumpets, but the soldiers were to keep silent. Then, on the 7th day, the assembly marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times. Joshua told them that by God's order, every living thing in the city must be destroyed, except Rahab and her family. And at Joshua's command, the men gave a great shout, and Jericho's walls fell down flat. The Israelite army rushed in and conquered the city. Only Rahab and her family were spared. As you hear the men of the Purdue Varsity Glee Club sing this inspirational story, perhaps you'll be encouraged to read the biblical account of God's rich provision. I encourage you to read starting at Joshua chapter 1 through chapter 6. But here's the Purdue Varsity Glee Club singing the story, Joshua Fit the Battle of Jericho.
Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho when the walls came tumbling down. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho when the walls came tumbling down. Let me tell you, brother, Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho when the walls came tumbling down. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho when the walls came tumbling down. You may talk about your king of Gideon, you may talk about your man of Saul, but there's none like good old Joshua at the battle of Jericho. And so the battle of Jericho. Now mighty were the walls around Jericho, around Jericho, around Jericho. So very mighty were the walls around Jericho, but the walls came tumbling down. Oh yeah, I said the walls came tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. The walls came tumbling down. Mighty walls came tumbling down. Let me tell you about the battle of Jericho, 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 Jericho. There was Jericho, by Jericho, it was Jericho. Yes, it was early in the morning there was Jericho, God's children gathered round. Early in the morning there was Jericho, Jericho, gathered round Jericho, round Jericho, round Jericho, round Jericho, round Jericho, round Jericho. Well, Joshua led the children round Jericho, 7 times they marched around. 7 times they marched around Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. 7 times they marched around Jericho, then a hush fell all around. Yeah, the children made not a sound. And then up to the walls of Jericho they marched with spear in hand. Go blow them ram horns, Joshua cried, 'cause the battle am in my hand. And then the ram sheep horns began to blow, and the trumpets began to sound. Old Joshua commanded all the children to shout, let's shout, shout, shout. And the walls came tumbling down, the walls came tumbling down. Yeah, Joshua hit the battle of Jericho, oh Jericho, Jericho. Yeah, Joshua hit the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. Joshua hit the battle of Jericho, Jericho. What a morning when Joshua hit the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. The mighty walls around Jericho came down. Those mighty walls came down, tumbling down. Let me tell you, those walls came tumbling down.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow as we hear the beautiful melodies of the Tone Chimes group. We'll also talk to John Fielding of Junonia, who fought as an infantryman in the Vietnam War and brought along a movie camera to document his experiences. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Wednesday, April 24th. I'm Rochelle Chernowski. From all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.